الخبيرة الاقتصادية بهيئة الأغذية والزراعة التابعة للأمم المتحدة مونيكا توثوفا، مرحبا بك. بداية، كيف أثر الغزو الروسي لأوكرانيا على الأمن الغذائي العالمي بعد عام من الغزو؟
Uh, let's step back one step and put the developments which happened in 2022, including the start of the war in Ukraine, into perspective. You will recall that both the 2020 and 2021 were very much affected by COVID. There were COVID lockdowns, restrictions in movements that limited livelihoods opportunities, etc., etc. The countries and the governments used a lot of resources to help people to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic in many countries. To this came the shock of the war in February, which threatened the fact whether the world would be able to get the exports out of Ukraine and the Russian Federation to the world market. So what we saw early on after the war started were the sudden increases in global food commodity prices, which is important, global food commodity prices. So suddenly there was this concern whether we would be able to get the supplies out, and this affected the price levels across the world. What happened then? We all know that there was a lot of work put into allowing supplies from Ukraine on the world markets, and the prices decreased. So overall, the impact was that the prices increased. There was a lot of uncertainty, and it also had ripple effects on other parts of the economy.
هل لديك أي أرقام واضحة عن عدد المتضررين من نقص الغذاء بسبب هذا الغزو، طبعا الغزو الروسي لأوكرانيا؟
There are no specific numbers because there are a lot of factors that are impacting food insecurity, right? There are the high prices of commodities, there is the low purchasing power of the population, but at the same time, you have recurring weather events such as the drought in the Horn of Africa, which is now in the 5th season, which are impacting the food security more on the local level. Then there are conflicts across the world, etc., etc. So it is very difficult to say the share that was the increase that was attributed to the situation in Ukraine. Already before the war started, we had 828 million people in the world that suffered from hunger. So this number likely increased, but the numbers are not yet available.
بالفعل، نلاحظ أن المستهلكين حول العالم شعروا بالتأثير الهائل للحرب الروسية على أوكرانيا، وهذا من خلال الارتفاع الحاد في أسعار المواد الغذائية والاضطراب الهائل في سلاسل التوريد الزراعي. لكن كيف يمكن معالجة هذه الأزمة، وهل يمكن أن تنتهي قريباً؟
Let me again step back to the first question when I really stressed that the impact attributable to the conflict was increases in the commodity prices, which is important. It's the international food commodity prices or commodity prices, because the price of wheat, for example, which is traded globally, internationally, if this price on the commodity level changes, for example, it decreases, as we have seen in 2022, we have seen both increases and decreases. It does not mean that the consumer prices, the prices that consumers are paying in souks, in the supermarket, are going to decrease by the same share. This is because consumers are not really buying raw commodities, bulk commodities. They are buying something that was already partially processed and that has already some value added in it. So even if you are just buying wheat, there is a cost of transportation, there is a cost of labor, there is a cost of energy that went into milling the grain into wheat. So all these changes and has impact on the price the consumers are paying. That would be for the wheat flour, but for other products, the share of the actual commodity in the final product, right, is even smaller. So you have all these other costs that changed in 2022 because of the high energy prices, etc., that have impact on the prices the consumers are paying and on the consumer inflation.
نلاحظ أن أوكرانيا وروسيا تلعبان دورا مهما للغاية في أسواق السلع العالمية. كيف يمكننا ضمان تصدير الحبوب خاصة إلى الدول التي تعاني في الوقت الحالي؟
Yes, indeed, both Ukraine and the Russian Federation in the past years, very recent past, they were very important producers and exporters of agricultural commodities. Not only from these two countries, but in general, it is important to keep the trade open, to allow the goods to flow from one place to another, from where there is surplus to the places where there are shortages. In fact, what we saw in 2022 was not globally, it was not a crisis that there would not be enough food or there would not be enough grain. The problem was more that the prices were high and the countries that were suffering from balance of payments problems, and they also might have suffered, for example, from the fact that the US dollar was on the high level and their own currencies were depreciating. This affected their ability to purchase and pay for the goods. So trade is very important. The goods have to flow in the countries where there are problems with like food security, food insecurity hotspots. Those should be directly helped. And in general, we should try to sustainably increase the production.
كيف يمكننا تجنب أزمات الغذاء في المستقبل بعد الغزو الروسي لأوكرانيا؟
The situation we are in now was made worse by by the situation in Ukraine and the fact that the ripple effects of the Ukraine war on the global markets, on the global energy markets, on global economic growth, etc., etc. But behind that, there are many other aspects that play a role. Right? This is a recurrent of natural disasters, for example. This is a systematic macroeconomic challenges and systematic macroeconomic problems. So there is a lack of use or insufficient use of national resources. There are a lot of conflicts. So to address the root causes, we have to go back and address the root causes of the food insecurity, which were made worse by the war, but they were not necessarily just due to the war.